Hi guys, David Karli with Entrepreneur MD and the GCTV network and davidkarli.com. So we're going to start a few posts on genetic testing. We're going to dig into this a little bit. Important to know that genetic testing is available. What is genetic testing? Basically, it's a custom evaluation of your DNA and your genes, or what really makes you tick at the molecular level. Science can now sequence your actual DNA, compare it to others, and as we've developed this capability, we've also developed databases which allow us to look at different genes and sequences of your DNA that ultimately lead to decision making, but also understanding your susceptibility for diseases and things of that nature. So it's a really powerful tool. I've been watching this technology for a long time. I think it's gotten to the point now where it's sophisticated enough that we can actually make medical decisions from the information beyond you might be at risk for a problem. So the technology has increased quite a bit, but it helps us to understand how you work at a molecular level, and from that we can ultimately make lots of different types of decisions. Well, what are those decisions? Based on your DNA, based on your genes and how your gene sequencing plays out, we can recommend a diet that's customized to how your body processes food, as one example. We can recommend, based on your DNA, that certain types of exercise may be more beneficial for you, or you may respond more effectively to certain types of exercise, and also supplementation, so pillars of health, diet, exercise, etc. We can determine how your body will process certain medications more effectively or less effectively than others. So doctors can actually make medication choices if that's appropriate and you need a medication based on your DNA and which medication you're more likely to respond to, and as a red flag, which medications we should avoid because they could become toxic or things like that. And that has to do with liver pathways and how your body metabolizes the medication as it goes through your body. We can evaluate your chance for lots of different disease processes, from heart disease to dementia and neurodegenerative types of problems, cancers, and that can help us to identify appropriate screening protocols if you're more at risk or susceptible for a potential problem. Identifying the chance for disease doesn't mean you actually have that disease. It identifies a risk factor that we can then modify lifestyle, modify your medical care and the preventative medical pathways to try to prevent you from developing or minimize the impact of a disease process on your body, like diabetes, cancer, etc. Finally, it can identify whether you're what's called a disease carrier. This means you have genes for a certain disease and you may not even have that disease, but you're a carrier. And that means as a carrier, you can pass that on to children. So it has impacts on family planning, or if you already have kids, if you identify a rare disease or a gene sequence that increases your children's potential susceptibility to a problem, we may alter their lifestyle, dietary habits, exercise, nutrition, etc., screening processes. So very, very powerful tool. I think something that as it gets more and more sophisticated will impact how we practice medicine and how we practice lifestyle medicine, preventative medicine even more importantly, as it continues to get better and better. But I think the technology has gotten to the point where it's now reasonable to consider doing genetic testing. I've identified a vendor that I'm actually going to go and get mine tested. Perhaps we could do a segment on that, and we can look at, happy to share my own sequencing and how that impacts the decisions that I'm going to make from a lifestyle perspective. So very, very fascinating technology, ultra sophisticated, relatively inexpensive now. This has gone from price points in the $10,000 to $12,000 range down into the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 range. So it's becoming more cost effective from a patient consumer perspective, and the information we get from it is very powerful, very telling, and now is at the point where it can impact the decisions that your doctors or your therapists or your trainers or your nutritionists can actually make to help get you healthy, keep you healthy, prevent and stave off disease processes from developing in the future. So very, very cool stuff. I'm going to bring you more on this in the future, but I wanted to do an introductory post on it. Genetic testing, this is going to impact our lives for sure, definitely our children's and future generations' lives as well. Good stuff. We'll bring you more on this. Thank you guys for the support as always. David Karli at Entrepreneur MD. Check out GCTV Network for our video posts on that. Also, davidkarli.com. Continued resources coming your way on davidkarli.com. Thank you guys. Have an amazing day.